So let's start from the bottom. There's this board right here, so don't pay attention to anything. You have to work your way up to this one, because in this case, you'll see there's sitting water down here, okay? And then there's still sitting water, which I have to figure out how to deal with that. But for now, I've dug down, okay? We'll get there in a second. But you can see there's a support right here, okay? That support is holding this board, which I've ran, okay? Just like they did over there on that first one. And you can see there's another 2x4 right here. It's laying flat, just like this one. And what do? Well, in the style of this home, they lay flat just like this, and they run over and under, okay? It's running underneath the house. And I'm gonna show you, just like over there in the kitchen, okay? Right here. That's what we got. That board right there, it is sitting on the block, okay? Flat, it's flat, and it's running along the floor joist. This is the floor joist right here. So all the floor joists are caught on this board right here, okay? And this board is resting on that block. So now that we have discovered that far, and I'm gonna show you guys, okay? It runs this way from that block. It catches all the floor joists running this way. It catches this new floor joist here, which is actually this board. It's not this one. This one's just a fill in because whenever I cut this hole out, I destroyed this middle beam here. So I've rebuilt it with this one right here, which I scabbed on, okay? I've scabbed it on, okay? You'll see this is just cut right there, and it's cut right here. And this little board runs this way, and it runs this way, but it's just to put a screw through. You can see that screw there, and there, it's going through into this board, okay? That's all that is, and this board is running through and underneath that closet. It runs down this way, it runs under the floor, out over to here, okay? So what is it doing? Back here behind me, it's resting on this other one. See that flat one sitting right here? All right. So let me get my laser for you. Underneath the house, this board right here, it's catching all those, and it's running also from over there on the concrete blocks, okay? It's going just like my new one. There's one right here, and it's catching my new boards. See, you can see my new boards right here. That's a new board, and so on. It's catching this one as well, but it's on the other side of that other thing. So you can see there is, underneath the floor, there's a board running like this, a flat one running this way, and it's catching this one that I put in. It's going through underneath from that closet corner right there, supporting the weight going this way to this right here, which is a board going through just like this flat one I did. So now there's a flat one going from here this way, there's a flat one right there going that way, and then there's a flat one going here this way. So essentially all I've done is lay this board right here. Now that we've got through this board, you can see this is setting on that, this, and it runs through to this one, and it's resting on here. So this board is a lot longer than it looks. A lot of these are a lot longer than they look. Like this one running this way, it's a lot longer than it looks. This one running this way, it only goes to right there, but it runs out to here, okay? And then this one, it's short just like that. There's two boards, one right here and one right there. And over here, same, there's a board right here and a board right here to catch the weight of this. So if someone's walking right here, it's solid, or right here, it's solid. This is just a cap in the middle because this one got rotted out. So I just put it in a fake one in right there to cover it up, basically. And now that all of that's discovered and you guys know how that's all working, it's very solid, so I'm gonna try and draw a picture for you right now. There's a flat board running right here, a structural board, which catches all the floor joists are running across those boards like this. I've put another one here in the middle and another one there, and the edge was already there. So the original one's here, and I added one in the middle, okay? Now I've put this support going this way to catch it on both ends of all three of those, and I've put this to catch on all three of those, and then this one catches on all three of those. So very strong. And then this board runs from the concrete over here, so it's not going anywhere. It goes underneath the house, and it runs, and I'm gonna show you what it does over here. Okay, there's several problems over here. Let's start at the bottom. Actually, let's start where that board runs to. You can see it runs over to this block, which I placed. There's a new block right here, okay? So my flat board, which is right here, this flat board is resting on that block directly, which I had to jack up the house. You can see this block sets on that block, which sets on another block, which is right there. You can see the line of that block right there underwater. Okay, it's right there. And you can see a secondary block. Here's the line right here for that secondary block. And it's under the water as well, sitting right next to this block, which is flush. You can see they're both flush, they're the same height. I had to actually physically take a shovel and dig all of this out, which you can see, dig down, 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 because it's a low spot there holding water. So I dug down, I pumped the water out, which I have videos on that. So I pumped the water out, and then I dug a hole deeper, 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 and then I found some dry, hard ground, and I put flat blocks, which I'll show you in a minute. I put that flat block here, and then I rested this block on top of it and that block on top of it. This one did not fit here at first. I had to jack up the house. That's why this block is here. So originally I had another block sitting on that and then my jack, and I had to jack up the floor, which I have videos on that. So go look up how to jack up my house and go check out some things. I can't show you everything all in one day, but I am showing you all of it as well. Just more detailed videos I have already. But so here, I used this block over here to jack up the house, and then I rested it on this once it was tall enough to rest it on that. And then you can see my wires, my new wires, they run right through here, and they're gonna be tacked up right there, okay? And I'm gonna put another staple in right here next to it right there, okay? So this will be stapled in two places, one where it is already and one over here on the new board. So I'm gonna be doing that before I cover this hole up. And I'm gonna be leaving that block right there under the water because it is set in stone. This one is also set in stone. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pump some of that water out again, and I have new concrete, and I'm gonna pour concrete in right here, and then the groundwater will just soak up the concrete, and this will stop it from settling in the future. There's also another pier over there already, and there's also another pier right here below me right here, which you'll notice right there. So all of this stuff is setting on not only one pier here, but over here and one right over here too. So there's 3 piers in this little area, which was once a soft spot, and I used it to run those electrical wires from over there at the new panel box, okay? And I know I'm talking a lot, but there's a lot going on. This took me a whole day to do this, okay? So this wasn't easy. I even had to use methods to jack up. This side was different from this side. So lots of problems once I cut this main support beam and the waves. So I had to actually jack up places to get all these boards and everything as flush and level, you can see, just like this. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my boards, which I cut already. See, this board's cut right there. This one goes in just like right here, just like that. Okay, and this one goes in here just like that, and I'm gonna take these out in a second, but I'm gonna show you. And these will all screw into that frame which I built around the edge. And those all fit in there just like that, okay? And I'm gonna bring you guys right back on that project here in a second, but let me show you guys what I got going on. Still using the Camry. Okay, you can see the 2x4s running through in there. I've got my blocks for the project. There's 2 blocks right there, okay? I've got all the tools in the back, the 2x4s right there running through the car. You can see I have an 80-pound bag of concrete right here. This is the concrete that I'm gonna be pouring right there from Lowe's, an 80-pound bag of concrete. These are the blocks that I'm using, single blocks, they're not double blocks, okay? So you can see I'll be using another one of those, and then those cap blocks. That's a cap block, and I have several of those as well. That's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna take that bag of concrete right now, and I'm gonna pour that concrete into that hole, and I'm gonna get it, mix it all around with the shovel and get it all strong and everything, and then I'll show you guys what I'm gonna do. Buckle up, Bob. It's gonna be a big time day for you, Bob. Buckle up. Yes, if you guys were wondering, yes, there is items in the fridge. I make sandwiches here because I only eat once a day. So I just brought the stuff here because I stay up past midnight working here. So there it is. I've got the mayonnaise, the ham and turkey, and I've got the sliced pepper jacks and the bread right there. And yeah, and I got the Red Bull because it gives you wings. And I'm gonna go ahead and get this done, y'all. What I have now is I have the 3rd bucket right here. I've bucketed 2 full buckets outside and about a half a bucket right here. Now I have my concrete. You can see a short shovel right there. I just got the water from the hole out with that little cup, bucketing it in one at a time. You can see the little drips there. And I have my flashlight here so you guys can see underneath. There's my flooring and my drink. Okay, so all I'm doing now is, you can see there's the block. I have removed all the water to a very short, there's only about, there's not really that much water. You can actually see the very top of that block right there, and there's actually the dirt right here. So there is the top of the cap blocks. So you can see this is where the ground level is right here, okay? The top of that block is ground level. I took shovels and dug down, so those blocks are at ground level. Okay, so this water is almost at ground level, and those concrete blocks are underground, and these are setting on them. Okay, very solid. And now what am I going to do? Well, all the water is not out. That's okay. That's okay, because you know what goes good with water is high strength concrete mix, brethrens, sisterins. So let's go ahead and pour that concrete. All I'm going to do is set it right down right here. Let me set you down. Cheers. After analyzing the situation at hand, I've decided I'm gonna have to go back to the store and get like probably 3 more bags of concrete. Okay, let me show you what's going on. And you can see it's just a little bit low. Okay, if I get down here like this, it's almost good, but right here on the front anyway. But you can see how it slopes down over there, and then it starts out good, but it slopes off right here. Well, that's not really good. That's not really what I want. I want the water to stay away from my pier, because this is a very important pier. This pier happens to hold the weight, remember, of this new beam, this beam, and this beam, and then there's a beam right here, all coming from right here across, and it's setting right here. Okay, this is like the dead center of my living room and hallway. It used to be a low spot, and now it's jacked up and it's supported right here. I dug a hole, and you can see there's 2 blocks almost completely underground. This is setting on a block which is underground, and this one is setting here almost at ground level, and then there's only 1 block on top of that. Okay, and it's resting tight right here. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but I actually angled this board. I angled it and stuff, made it really nice where those 2 meet, where those 2 come together. Okay, I actually angled that board so these 2 come together on that pier, and this one comes over as well. Okay, so a lot of weight right here. I'm gonna go to the store and go ahead and put more concrete in there, and I'll show you what that looks like. And also, because it's so much weight, I'm gonna put another pier right here. That's why I went and got more blocks. I have a flat block, and I'll be adding more concrete in this whole area. 1 for right here and 1 for right here. That way in the future, I'll never have any issues right here in the middle of the house. And I'm also jacking up the 2 bedrooms and the bathroom, and we've already done the kitchen. So we're gonna be setting pretty solid here. Very solid, much more better than it was before. I'll see you guys back here shortly after I get more concrete for that area. I'll tack up that wire, and I'll chunk out. I'm gonna be hand digging right here and setting another block underground, and then some wood on that going across from here to here over to this pier. So it'll be pier to pier to pier, resting all this right here and right here. One's down deep and one a little bit higher where the dirt, okay? Because we know it's a little bit mushy right here, and then I'll figure out the water situation later down the road. You can see I have 3 more bags of concrete now, and just from going to the store and coming back, because there's moisture in the ground, you can see how that concrete's already sopping up that water, and it's already starting to, you see, you don't really need to do a whole lot. You just put the concrete in there, and it'll do what it needs to do. And then once this dries, it's gonna stop raining for another week now. So once this all dries, it'll be all concrete, super solid concrete, and the water will have to go somewhere else. And then I'll deal with, the water's coming from outside, so I need some French drains or something going out to the city ditch. So this is only gonna be a temporary issue. So let's go ahead and get some concrete back. I'm gonna fill it in back right there and back around right here, and we're gonna make this all level and even a little bit higher than what it is right here, so that the water drains out like this, okay? And then also remember, I'm gonna be digging out right here, okay? I'm gonna dig out right there, and I'm gonna put in, I just got the blocks. Here's the flat blocks that I'm gonna be using. So I'll be burying one of these underground, and then I'll be setting one of these on top of it. And another thing I'm gonna mention, you don't set bricks. You cannot set these. It might be tempting to set one of these just like flat on the ground like this, but you actually, you can't do that. You have to put a flat block like this underground first, and then you have to set these blocks up like this, okay? This needs to set on this so that it's very strong and structural, okay? Because these break really easily when they're sideways. They'll break right like that. See you back shortly. So you can actually see what I've done now is that pier, it's right here, okay? That's that pier right there. And I'm gonna be digging out a little spot right here. And I've placed this block right here, right where I want it, okay? It's right where I want it. So I'm now gonna take this hammer and I'm gonna drag around that block, right around the edge of that block, so I know right where to dig. And I'm gonna dig so that the new block, this is a broken one that I broke, hammering it actually to get the jack out. But anyway, you can see this is a good marker of the height. So you can see it comes pretty much right to the top of this board, and it actually needs to go underneath it. So I'm gonna have to dig that block about halfway down, just halfway down, and then I'll be able to put the block and hammer it into place. And then I'll be pouring concrete around that block, and there'll be all concrete basically from here down that hole that I dug into the lowest spot full of concrete with a block underground, another block underground with a block sitting on top. So this one is just one phase less than this one. This one is just a lot deeper, okay? So anyway, you can see how that if water does get back in here in the future, it's gonna set right here, and I've filled up that spot with concrete now, so it's gonna push the water out this way, and there'll also be concrete here with another block, and everything will be out of the water. Our wires will be stapled up to the new wood and the old wood going across here, so it'll never go down into there. And everything is supported very strong. This is a very complex project. You guys probably don't even care. There's a lot going on here. You're gonna have fun doing this, so good luck, Chucky. It's a lot harder than it looks, okay? And yes, I'm doing this. I could be doing this barefooted if I wanted. So if you know what you're doing, I mean, I'm explaining it to you, I'm doing the work. I mean, this is a very physical job. I've been working on this for 12 hours, sweating. What I'm doing now is, you can see I have that block resting right there and a block on top of it, and I have it just enough to shim a piece of wood very tightly in there, okay? So tightly, in fact, that I'm using a wedge, an actual board, that's going on the edge of the block here, and I'm prying up very hardly like this behind me, prying this board up so that I can slide this board in. It's too tight to move, so I have to leverage this up off that block while sliding this board on the block this way. Okay, so very difficult, and you can see, and then I'll slide this, will go long enough to go underneath that, across the block, and onto that. Okay, so I'll bring you back in a second. So it is the next morning, and after analyzing the situation once again, okay, you can see my floor patch right there. That's wonderful, okay? I'm actually laying on the floor right now, and you can see over here, my floor patch over there. It's wonderful, okay? Super wonderful and all that. But right there where the dog is laying, okay, that is a low spot right there. And after all the work that I've endured on this whole project in this house, and going the distance, okay? We're level to right here. Everything is good to right here. I've jacked up everything over to here. This room is all good. The kitchen is all good. There is a low spot right here, okay? The lowest spot being right here on this corner. And whenever I shut this door, you can see, actually, there's something else I'm gonna show you in there. But anyway, whenever you shut the door, you can see there's a very low spot because the door is like way up here and there's a gap under the door, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and, after analyzing this and almost skipping over the whole thing, I actually, I know that I'm gonna regret if I don't, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and beef this right here up, this corner right here, and how am I gonna do that? We're good over to here. It starts sloping down right here, sloping down, down, down. If I poured water on the ground, it would all go right here, okay? So here's what I'm gonna do. I've measured it over. It is, it's 5 foot, okay? We're at 5 foot over to this hole that I've dug right here. This is the hole that I was going to fix today. Very simple project, well, in comparison to that one there. But now we have a whole nother issue. There's no hole. This one's already cut, and I can get in here and work very easily. It's not going to be major as that one. It's going to be more like the kitchen one that we did, okay? But this one right here, there's no hole. The closest hole is over there and over here, and this is like impossible to crawl under. But I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to put the bags on and slide. I'm going to skim my body directly right here against this, once again, like I did in the electrical project. Go check out those videos. I'm literally going to be sandwiching my body, sliding right here. I'll try to video some of this. And I'm going to place a flat block right here, 5 foot over, okay? Or right there on that corner, a flat block, right? Imagine underneath here, underneath on the dirt, okay? And I'm going to put a flat block like that. And then I'm going to set this block here like this. I'm going to take a 2x4, which will go from here on the edge of the block. I've already cut it at the length that it needs to be. It's going to go over, and it's going to rest on that foundation, okay? The concrete block's foundation. It's going to rest on the foundation over there, just like that. It's gonna run across and set on that block. That's all I have to do. But here's the problem. It's gonna be impossible because this is corners low. So I have to jack it up. So that's what I'm gonna do right here. This is where I'm gonna set the jack underneath the house, and I'm gonna get it all set, and I'm gonna, basically this block's not gonna be able to fit in there. It's gonna be setting on the side right here, okay? So imagine this block setting here and the jack is just right here. I'm jacking up the board until I can slide the block into place, and then I'm gonna take the jack out and let the board rest on the block, okay? And then we'll remove the jack, and I'll carl it back out here, and I'll fix this hole. Easy. So here is what I have, and excuse the AC is on, because it is, why not, right? But so I have this is actually a trash bag. So these are huge trash bags that I have, okay? Big, heavy duty construction trash bags from Lowe's. And all I've done is I've rolled that trash bag out. Now, if you wanted, you could roll out 2 or 3 or 4, a very cheap hat for you if you're just trying to stay out of the mud, okay? Those big, thick trash bags, and you know how they come in rolls, and you roll them out and you rip one off. Well, don't rip it off. Roll it out 3, 4, 5, and then rip off the 8th one if you need a whole strip, okay? I'm just trying to save you guys money. Nobody has to listen. All right, so this is what I'm doing, and I'm gonna put that down there. You can see I have a hoodie right here. I'm gonna be putting on that hoodie, and this is all I'm doing. I'm gonna be laying on that clean bag, okay, with shorts and flops. I'm gonna wrap that hoodie on because I'm wearing a tank top, okay? That's just a tank top. And all I'm gonna be doing is taking hammers if I need hammers. I have the board right here. I'm gonna be sliding the board in underneath that wire, okay? I have a drill once I need that later for over here. The blocks, okay, I'm gonna be taking that block first and then that block. I have a tape measure, and I've measured out, it needs to be 5 foot, so I'm gonna whip that under there and measure that out. I have a flashlight, everything's ready to go. I'm gonna drag this bag over to about right here, and then I'll be wearing that hoodie. So I'll be laying right under here. This is 5 foot, so I'll be able to fit with my feet right here somewhere. And I'll be laying right there working, doing that method. Here is the jack, and all I'm using for that pin on the side is a screw, okay? So that's just a screw going through there for that. I've tightened that down. This stick is ready to go, and that is pushed down. Okay, get everything ready. And then here, I'm gonna take you guys down and show you what it looks like. So what I'm actually doing is I've got the plastic ready, and I'm gonna start rolling. I'm actually gonna slide it out, and you'll see. But I'm setting stuff on the 2x4, which I'm gonna drag over there, and I'm gonna end up putting the 2x4 right here and running it over to here. Okay, but right now I'm using it to slide these heavy bricks across the ground where I can actually push them out in front of me and roll this plastic out and push those in front of me. And then I'll take them once I'm over there, and I'll grab it, set it here, grab the other block, set it there, grab the jack, set it there, and set it all up, okay? And then grab the board, pop it into here from over here, and lengthen it over onto my blocks after jacking it, okay? So it's very tight, very, very tight. You can see just one block, it's very tight, guys. That's a half block, okay? So anyway, and this is gonna be necessary to slide because it's so tight. You're gonna need something to slide your body on in case you get stuck with a nail. There's little nails too sticking down. So if you get stuck in between the dirt and a nail or the wood, so just be really careful, especially when you're by yourself with just your dog. Ain't that right, Bob? Another thing is, you can see, so here's the board, there's the jack, the blocks, and everything's in order, all gonna go down there, and then I'm gonna pop it off right over there. You can see right there where the tape measure ends, right down there, that is all measured out, okay? It's all measured out exactly right where I need it. So I just need to get those blocks to where that tape measure ends. I'll slide them on this side, so I'm sliding everything on this side. I've got the tape measure on that side, right in that location where I'm going, and I'm gonna roll the plastic out, and I'm gonna slide my body through the middle and then just drag everything through. So I'll get you back here on the end, guys. So I've got everything set up. You can see the board is resting on the concrete over there. I have the light, the hammer. I use the hammer to dig. Okay, I dug out where that block can fit right there. It's a little bit higher here, but that's okay because that's where I'm jacking. It'll push it in the ground, and it'll push this down and that block up, okay, until I can slide it into place. But you can see You can see just how unlevel that is, okay? My phone is flat against the wood, and you can see how low that is right there. So I have to jack that up so much so that I can slide that block in, and you can see I can't, that's impossible. So I have to jack this up, slide that in, but this is very dangerous, especially because some of the piers are built in like that, and who knows how old they are or how long they're gonna last. So what I'm doing is I've found this main beam right here in the middle, and I've placed one of these, okay, this way, and it's right here as a safety just in case. This would be very emergency. It would be very painful to get out of here, but at least something would be there to maybe save my life. Who knows? But anyway, there's another one right here. Think about like a car, like if you're putting jacks under a car, the little stands. Okay, there's one right here, and this one's broken, but these are just backup life supports. Okay, because once I start jacking this, nobody knows what can happen. So I'm gonna start jacking it up so I can put that block in there. I think that's a good spot. Let me try to focus it. All right, I'm gonna go and start jacking this up. Okay, what you can see here is a board. Now we're flat, okay? We're flat now. I don't know what you can see. But anyway, it's too tight down here to video anything. There it is, we're flat right there. We still need a jack right here though, okay? So we're good right here. We're good everywhere except for right here, the hole that I dropped in behind me. And we put a jack right here, and I jacked it up enough to now where I can go to this point and jack it up. You seen how unlevel it was? So now it's just a little bit off, and I'm gonna go put a jack right here and jack that up, okay? And then we'll support from this jack to that jack. So here's what I have now. You can see I'm putting this flat, and you can see the floor is now flat. And that door, believe it or not, it actually closes. It still needs to be shaved a little bit. But believe it or not, it's actually, I jacked it up and everything. So I'm gonna take you guys down below. This was a quite strenuous, it's not your, well, it is pretty common, I guess. But anyway, let me zoom out. You can't really see much. Okay, so here's my little life support braces right here and right here, okay? Now over there, you can see what I have is I've put that wire up over that board. I made the board long enough to put the wire up over it, and then I put a staple in right up there. Okay, you can see I have a block underground right here, so I had to do some digging, and I put that block right above ground level, okay, so the water will go around in the lower spots. But it's right about ground level, and I put the jack on that side this time and jacked it up to where I could put a 2x4 under that brace that goes across over onto the foundation right there. So that board runs across, and you see I've added in another board right here, and I've added one over there, and I've added them all the way down the house now. So I've added in extra supports, new ones, along with the old ones, okay? And I've also added in new blocks. Well, this is one of them. I put a jack there. I put a jack right here in the middle of this support and this support, so you can see there's a long flat block here with the one on this half, and a long flat block here with one on this half. I have a jack on the other half, and I have a jack on the other half. This is the outside half of both. I have jacks on the outside both of those flat blocks, and then I have 2x4s buried underground with that one right there in the middle, jacking up that, okay? A lot of weight right through here, okay? And I'm glad I ended up doing this. But anyway, this would be easier with 2 or 3 people. But I have 3 supports now, all running across those 2 blocks at the same height, and I have the wires tacked way up, way up. Okay, so there's that. Okay, I wanted to show you one other thing. Now the flash is on. You can see those 3 jacks and all that. but I wanted to show you, I had to put a support right here. This support I had to add in just because this one right here, it broke. You can see all the wood there, it broke. Now there was tree branches that fell on the house at one point, major tree branches that fell and crushed parts of the house, okay? So I'm going in and fixing those places where the tree branches broke. That was one of them, so I added in this, all these new piers, all this new support, okay? Now I'm gonna remove those jacks one at a time, and I'm gonna crawl everything back out, and I'm gonna fix this hole right here. This is the setup now. You can see I'm working on this hole now that I've jacked up. We've put 3 jacks. I put a jack here, a jack here, and a jack here, and then I put a support there and a support there, and I jacked it up and rested it on that. We've seen what we did down there. Now we're moving on to right here. So all I've done here is, let me go ahead and show you what I've done here. I got my laser now. You can see this board right here. I've cut that, and that board goes out. You're gonna go out to here, okay? It goes out this far, out here, and across, out to here, okay? So it's much longer than this little space right here, which it needs to be, because we're gonna be putting the new floor down right here on this board right here. So now that this board's cut more than it needs to be, you can see it rests on this board and it rests on this board, okay? And those 2 boards, they rest on this block. So there's a block right here, there's a block right there, and once again, I put the jack right there and I jacked it up, and then you can see this 2x4 right here, it runs underneath this support and underneath this support, and that's what's holding those on that block. Okay, very strong, very solid. And then I remove the jack and pull that out. You can see this wire runs across right here. I stapled that wire up once again, so it's not gonna go anywhere. And now I'm gonna show you why I have to scab this so long. Instead of just scabbing it from right here or whatever to right here, I'm scabbing it longer. Why? Because you can see right here, okay? There's a line, a crack right here. That's an impact crack from the tree branches when they fell. They broke this right here. You can see that got loose over time and it cracked like that. And I'll show you a more defined version of what's going on. You can see right here, here's another crack right here, okay? That's an impact crack from the tree branches. That's why I put this support board underneath that broken beam, okay? And then I'm putting this scab, once again, running out from here, and we're gonna screw it into that one, which was impacted and broke. It was broken right there. And on this side, it was broken right here. So I've got this now supporting right here. And I'm gonna scab on past this one, and this one will be resting because this goes so far past it. I'm gonna put screws back here, screws all along right here inside this one, and it's resting on these new supports. So that'll be very strong, very solid. And then, so let me get a couple of these things done now that I have showed you this support and that right there. Okay, that's what I got right there. And that's all it is, resting on everything. And now I'm gonna hammer this board in place. Okay, that's in place. That's in place. Very nice. Very solid, setting on all that. That's all good wood resting on that new beam with the wire tacked up. You can see how I have this now to nail into. This will be very solid. So let's turn over here and see what we got going on. Let's go ahead and fix that crack. And once again, you can see it'll set on this support and this support, okay? Our board, our new board is resting on the new supports. It's not just going to right here. It's actually supporting this area, the whole house, the whole room, I mean. Okay, and there it is from this side, okay? This is what we got, and now you can see I can screw into this as well. We don't need to screw the old floor into this because it's already supported on the old beam. I'm just butting this one up to the new one for the new wood that I'm going to put in right here. I'll have to pre-drill around this once again and screw all that into the old, but the new will be into the new and the old will be in the old. In this case, every hole is a little bit different, you can see. There's different problems in every area. This one had the 2 broken supports right here, which we fixed and set it on this. This was the saggy area before, and now there's no more sag. We also jacked up this. It is the next day and we are back. This is patched and I have a couple of more things to show you before we screw this down, okay? This is patched and I have some more things to show you before we put that down. But today I'm working in this room and I'm gonna get it caught up to where these are, which is just to pre-drill all the holes around there. And I'm gonna show you before I do that what's going on underneath the changes. But anyway, at the end of the video. So here is this new hole, and this is the block that I'm gonna be using, or one of them. I have a flashlight and I brought, you know, all the same things in here. You can see some of the things I have going on. I just picked all the glass out, okay? This was all the glass that I picked out of the hole first with these little snippers from the window that I busted out right here before I put that window unit in. Okay, so now let me show you a couple of the problems down here. Okay, you can see this block right here I'm gonna keep. This block is underground, it's very solid, very sturdy. This block, I'll be setting on top of it just like it was before, and probably this on top of that. That's probably about the right height. So I'll be using this pier back the way it was before, okay? And next, you can see this support has been broken. Whenever I cut this hole out, big enough to where I can get down there and do anything I need to do for the electrical and such, okay? And I'm gonna be building that back, okay? But you can also see, here's another issue. Here is that board. It goes across, okay? All the way across to that back corner, and that's all fine and dandy. But what is that? Uh-oh, there's another tree branch that broke this side, okay? That has been impacted by the tree branch and it is broken. So I'm gonna have to support that, okay? And everything else looks good over here, but you can see clearly right there, that is not gonna be okay. That's part of the reason why this whole floor has been falling in here. This hole right here was the first hole that I cut. I made a full video on this hole, and it's the reason that I had to cut it is because this floor is falling down, okay? Well, that's the issue right there. Here's another problem right over here. This support beam right here, it doesn't have any weight on it. Look, it's jiggly, okay? It needs to be supported back into, we'll have to put new boards across it and into it, but I'll also be putting another pier right here, that block right there that you see. I'm gonna be setting that block right here and running a board over here to the concrete, and then one from over here across this way, and then I'll keep that original one which runs that way, and we'll just beef it up, okay? We'll be putting a block underneath that, and the new boards, and another support, and all this, and a new beam, okay? Scabbing on. Whenever you have a beam that's broken like this and you cut it out, that's all okay and all. It just has to be supported on both sides. So if you cut a beam out, you have to support it on this side and you have to support it over here on this side. In my case, I'm supporting it over here and it's already supported right here, okay? And you'll see how I have another support going across like this and it's all gonna be resting on it. But every case is a little different, I assume. They're all going to be similar, but and every house is different also, because I've never seen a house framed this way with 2x4s for the floor joist resting on 2x4s that are flat. I'm not saying I suggest it, I'm just saying it's not a bad idea. It's a pretty good, it's pretty solid. Anyway, let's get to work. And here is the actual fine little detail that I forgot to mention. Here is that support, which is, let me zoom out for you. This support right here that runs across, okay? We've seen this beam, this is broken right here, okay? This is completely snapped right here, but it's also completely snapped right here, okay? That's completely snapped right here. And because that's a main support beam basically snapped right in half, resting on a support that is snapped completely half. Actually, matter of fact, it's cut completely out and it's resting on right here, which is right where that crack is. Significant crack right on the main support beam going through the dead center of the room. So that's why this portion of the house from right here over and all of this was basically about to completely cave through the floor. The only thing holding it up is this board, the rest of it, which is sitting on the concrete right there. And I'm gonna go ahead and place another one on the side of it over right next to it, right over here, and run it alongside it onto a new support here and all that. So let's move this block into place, and I almost forgot to show you that small detail of that third major issue. moving on. Here it is, I've got it going, okay? So let's start with the first problem, okay? The first problem was this beam right here. Okay, this beam was broken right there. So what did I do? I placed a flat block and a other block on top of the flat block, okay? And I jacked it up high enough and to where I got the new board that I ran from right here, which you can see I angled, okay? And I ran that board from right here, which is the one that broke, and I have the block underneath it. So you can't actually fix a board if it gets cut in half, but you can put a support underneath it, which supports this half and this half of the broken board. So that's all I've done is I've supported this board and fixed it by supporting it on both halves of the broken piece in the middle. And then I ran this new one from here over and rested it on that concrete foundation, which is sitting next to another one runs this way, right here. This one runs over to that corner. So I have this one running from right here. So there's one in the corner running to here, and there's one right here running to here, and they're both meeting right here, which is where that one was broken. But this serves as another purpose, not only for supporting the middle of my room. If I zoom out, you can see it's the middle of my room, okay? So not only does this new board support that middle one, but it also supports this one, and it's over on the concrete as well, okay? And then I jacked it up to the same height, okay? You can see those are all the same height, and I've got my little spacers in there to keep it all tight and everything is good and solid, and I have to put more screws in, obviously. I'll be putting more screws around, screwing a screw down into it here, a screw from here down into it here, and one from here down into it like that. Same thing here, I'll be screwing down from here into this. Okay, this little middle board right here, it's just a scab board in the middle of this one and this one, because this was the broken beam right here. Okay, the broken beam goes right there, and I've scabbed this board and this board onto the broken beam, which these run over to here. So they run far over, and from here far over like this. Okay, so these two boards run far out like this. This one in the middle is just a scab right here in the middle as a spacer to put a screw into from both sides. So I'm screwing in here and screwing in here like this, all the way down, okay? And that's how these two boards will support the middle of my room, okay? And they're resting on the new piers, so there's no actual force on this broken part that I cut out in the middle. All the force is actually resting right here, but how do you catch right here? Well, you can see right here, this would sag, but I have a board right here which I'll slip down and it'll rest on this. A board I'll slip down and it'll rest on this. It'll catch that side and it'll catch the new wood on the inside. I'll do the same thing here. It'll be something to screw into, but it'll also catch this, so this won't sag. Okay, this board right here, it not only runs right here to catch this main support beam, but it also runs over to the foundation as well. So I've got one running from the foundation here, across, it catches all of them, and it actually runs out to the beam that's right here in the middle. So there's another pier right here, and this pier, which I put the pier in, okay, because there's the pier right there that I built. I built this pier also. So there's the first pier, which catches this, and it fixed that. The second pier I had to build because it catches through and it catches over from here, and it runs across this way in the center of the room to catch this, because you can't just have one right here, obviously. See, that would be disproportionate. So I need a board right here and a board right here to catch the weight, the actual weight of the center of this room, which is right here. Okay, so that's what this block is doing. But then I also put a block in right here. You can see there's a flat block and a block sitting on that. Those do the same thing. They meet over and they rest on that wood right there. Okay, so when you zoom out, you can see what I have going on right here is a board running from here on the concrete over all the way to here past that block, which I have right there. I have one running from here over, which rests right here on the block, and then I fixed that one. And this one also catches the one that was broken. Remember, there was a floor joist that was broken right here. Well, this goes right underneath it and it catches it. So what are we doing? You can't fix a broken support, no. But you can support this side and this side, making that broken support very strong again, because it has a support board going right through it, catching both sides. It's similar to the same thing that we're doing here by putting these backer boards in right here, okay? Because if I don't put a backer board in right here, it would sag over time. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your backer boards in right there so that this floor cannot sag and your new floor can get screwed in. Okay. Okay, I want to show you guys this before I cover it up. You can see I put the boards in, okay? All the boards in, and they're resting on my new supports and such, and all the things we went over. Okay, but I want to make this clear, okay? Where you place your screw placement is very important. These are not just, I'm not just randomly throwing screws in, okay? Watch my rat run video in my framing playlist, carpentry and framing playlist. You're gonna see a rat run video. Go check that out if you want to learn a little bit more about how to use boards. I really need to make a lot more videos on basic stuff. But anyway, this is a rat run underneath the house. You can also do a rat run in the ceiling in an attic. Okay, so you can do it underneath the house, or you can do it on an attic, on a ceiling, or on a roof, on roofing joist. Okay, you can really, these rat runs work really well. This is like a half rat run, okay? But either way, regardless, it's just basically like a rat run. So what am I saying? Well, the screw placement is very important. So you need to be placing screws from the floor joist into the rat run, into the floor support. Okay, same over here. From the floor support into the floor support, okay? You can call it the floor joist into the rat run. Okay, floor joist into the rat run. Floor joist into the rat run, okay? We're tying this board into this board. This is a structural board, and this is a structural board. This plywood here on top, that's really nothing unless you have a good structure underneath it. Okay, so the plywood is already good. It's unfortunate that everything else was bad. Okay, so the plywood's good. Now all this is new, all this is good, and it's all supported, and we can screw our new floor in. Also, your screw placement is very important on these as well. We're going to be doing 2 in each board, 2 in each board, 2 in each board, angling over. And over here, I've angled this one into the rat run, this one into the rat run, and this one into this board. Okay, so very important. These 3 screws are all very important. They're not just placed random places. This one's tying into this. This one's tying into this. This one's tying into this. That makes all 3 of these tied together with just 3 screws. Very strong, very solid. Okay, same thing over here. 3 screws, 1 into the rat run, 1 into the rat run, 1 into this board. That's tying all of these together. Very strong, very tight. These, I'm gonna put a screw right here and screw it into that. So it'll screw this into this, and these into that. See, this is going down into this. This is going over into that. And then these are all screwed like this, okay? I don't know really what else to go over with you guys.
With open arms.
Yeah,
aren't you a notorious criminal?
Yes. Out here in Oklahoma, when you go to the Uvalde Theater, there ain't nobody in there. So when they tell you to turn your phone off, they're just talking to one person and your child. Ain't not a single one in there. Who are they talking with?
No one will trust us.
Ain't nobody gonna trust us.
What was that?
Are you pregnant?
What? You're gonna be the best mom in the world.
Yeah.
And you are gonna be the best dad. Just
how many
kidding.
chairs
you
you
out of
need?
your depth. We are gonna be the best uncles
You
ever.
need a few more chairs.
Something is going to change.
I don't know if that's enough chairs. That's close enough. How many seats you need?
None.
You don't need any seats down there?
No.
My goodness. I don't need another seat. I think this one worked just fine.
It's an ancient human being. You can find it in virtually every culture, in religion, folklore,
That's out of this
superstition,
world.
and science.
I could see it.
The search for life elsewhere is
Too close. Too close. Ma'am, you're gonna have to sit in the back, please. Ma'am, gonna have to walk you out front, please. No, I'm just wondering if Kenley likes the front or the back. Do you like sitting in the back or the front? You like the back? We can sit in the back. Batmobile charged. Ready for launch. You got him.
Maybe I could get that baby one. Maybe I could get that baby one.
That pankin neck there.